Convening the special meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court here today on March the 21st, 2014. The entire court being present, we have a quorum, and there's one issue and some sub-issues, but mainly one issue on the agenda. And Valdez, should we go in and address A1 first before 2?
Judge, let me see if I can find Valdi. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Didn't say anything there.
I apologize. I know it's not on the agenda, but we do need to open our meeting up with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you will please join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for having us gathered here today. We thank you for the gift of being able to deliberate all the things that are needed to run an efficient county government. We ask you to bless the leaders here today, that they may deliberate and make the decisions that are best in the best interest of the folks of Hidalgo County. We ask this in your name. Amen.
All right. This time I will proceed to item A1, or is it 2A1?
It's 2A1, Judge.
Yes,
and
discussion, consideration, and action to engage a vendor for the purpose of reviewing and conducting a forensic analysis of Hidalgo County election hardware, equipment, and software used in the 2014 March primary in an amount not to exceed $50,000 through a purchase order. And the issue before us today is whether or not we're going to be hiring this type of individual to inspect our voting machines and tell us whether or not there was any manipulation of our voting machines during the 2014 primary. We, as a county commissioners court, have no authority to do anything else. We are not here to determine whether any changes can be made. No changes can be made to any of the results that were provided after the canvassing. The only changes can occur under the election code through a recount or an election contest, none of which is occurring here. We are not a court of inquiry. We are not a grand jury. We have no authority to issue subpoenas. We have no authority to compel anyone to testify under oath. We are here merely in an attempt to comply with our responsibility to conduct fair elections in our county. We, as a court, are responsible for conducting elections to elect our federal, state, and county officials. Plus, we have contracted with most of our 21 cities and the school districts to conduct their elections. We own and basically operate all of the voting machines that are in use in every election that is held in our county. And at this time, why don't we go ahead and proceed, Baldi?
Yes. Please.
This is Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. Upon direction, at the judge's direction, I proceeded to appoint 2 staff members of the Purchasing Department to look into the acquisition of services as you detailed in the item captioned on the agenda. We could not find any cooperative program awarded vendors, so there we went into an internet search. We were able to find 4 vendors. We did distribute very detailed requests for proposals from 4. Of the 4, 2 responded by the deadline, which was 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. I have given you a little tab that shows the 2. I am not going to be repeating any of the amounts in the event negotiations need to take place. We then keep the integrity. I will tell you that just for what was submitted, it would exceed the competitive bidding requirements of more than $50,000. And I can say that this would probably cost more than $100,000, possibly more than that. Therefore, at this point, we would not have, I would not have the time as you have a 3 to 5 day turnaround that was requested, to be able to put this out through a solicitation, publication, advertising, and the normal course of events that would happen.
Marty, couldn't we go through Addison Hall?
Yes, sir. You have an item for that. We discussed that eventuality. You do have, and that is one of the reasons I also think that if that is the route it goes, although Addison Hall can proceed to engage any consultants that are necessary for this situation, these may be options they could use, but not necessarily.
Marty,
It could be there.
if I may ask the question, knowing the fact that it's over 50,000, and now we're considering an opportunity of going through a professional service such as an attorney.
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't that in fact be bypassing the procurement laws that we're mandated to follow for this type of service?
I do not believe so. It would be a reimbursable expense that the attorney would need to have in order to render the services you're requesting.
Okay, and I know this is a discussion item, so I'd like to at least talk a little bit. I received a letter, and I know every commissioner had received a letter in regards to some claims that have been made.
Yes, sir.
And in that letter, and I did my due diligence to read it as without prejudice, as much as I could have. And I came down with a few things in the letters that have allegations to past elections and all sorts of other deals. And I know our elections administrators here, and I know in this state and along in this country, there's always been protocol procedures for filed complaints. There's already agencies, there's already boards, and there's due process already laid out to see and validate all the complaints and concerns that are out there. What concerns me is that a commissioner's court, who in the history of our county, I don't ever know, nor do I know, if we've ever solicited or went out for services based on a letter, on a claim, seek service, use tax dollars and resources for a complaint that still at this point, what I read, has no basis of any proof at this point of time. As I break the letter down, and is it okay, I don't know if it's okay, Judge, to go down by the letter. I know we were all served with the letter, but I just want to make sure we're about to open up Pandora's box by every complaint or any letter that comes into us on irregularities, fraud, tampering, and all these things, of which there are agencies out there to look at every single claim, for the county to use taxpayer dollars to hire an independent forensic analyst, and I'm all for it. If there was wrongdoing,
yes, sir.
to go out there and we're going to expend over $100,000 when we have agencies out there to look at every single complaint.
Which agencies?
We got the Secretary of State, we have the Attorney General, we got our District Attorney's Office, we have the Elections Commission, we have all this protocol, and they all have their set protocols.
The FBI.
If you go down to the Secretary of State's website, there is all the contact information, and there's every single procedure listed of how to file and contest and how to list in your complaint, whether it was fraud, tampering, it's covered. At this point, this letter only states complaints, but does not state how many complaints. This letter alleges an incident in '06 of someone admitting to some tampering. There's proper agencies such as the Texas Rangers, the FBI. They're all out there to look at these types of allegations. And if an attorney has this type of proof, that's a criminal issue, and why isn't that? And I don't know if someone's already looking at it, and I don't know. But the letter just bases it on that. And one other instance of which in this election,
Yes, sir.
there was an issue where an elections division IT worker, he makes a claim to destroy evidence by calibration. And I don't think, I know we have our elections administrator, and she goes by the safeguard measures, and they go by procedure and protocol. Now, it's hard for a commissioner's court that has no knowledge of the machines themselves. It's literally taking me 3 to 4 days just to understand it, for any common person to really understand what it actually takes to do tampering or whatever is alleged.
Yes, sir.
I think that there are agencies out there to look at all these matters, and I encourage that we use these agencies to get down to the bottom of this. I just don't think it's proper for us. It's already been filed at court. We have a district court overseeing this matter. For us to premature hire a forensic specialist on some machines, I think that unless there's a court order, I think that that's the appropriate methodology to follow. I feel very concerned about this issue. I'm concerned about the accusations, but I really believe that there's agencies out there to address a lot of this. It was my intent to plead to the court to consider, and again, it's not a plea to the court because it's really not our jurisdiction. Right now, it's in the jurisdiction of the district court who confiscated. I ran into her at the court yesterday, and she's giving me the election law, and of which she highlighted sections of the election code. I've asked the judge, and I've asked our legal counsel to look at that, and I have a hard time making a decision utilizing tax dollar resources for something that these agencies, and there's already set protocol to look at all these arguments and all these little incidents. I believe that those, if there is tampering, that we should prosecute. But we're not the agency to prosecute. The judges stated what we can and cannot do. You know, when you hire professionals, I was reading the letter and all the correspondence that were sent with it, and all these studies that were done in 2008, or complaints in 2008. Yet the Secretary of State has a charged duty to certify
the machine
on the state and federal level. And since 2008, when these articles were written, they in fact have been certified. I think the burden of proof is, if we're talking about the machines, is the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. Now you look even further, some of the other research that they have was non-conclusive. Although they make some allegations of potential, the companies that, or the groups that actually certify these machines did not have the same findings. So there's a lot of ambiguity here, and it's impossible for a court member or even the general public to fully understand this. That's specifically why we have the Secretary of State. And they have all their protocols to assure that something like this can't happen. Now, can it be hacked? Yeah. But to the degree, what proof do we have at this point of time that would warrant forensic tests? Let's let due process happen. The district court has the equipment at this point in time.
Yes, sir.
Allow her to do her inspections. If she warrants forensic tests, and let us have a court order and look at them. If there's wrongdoing and there's affidavits and things that have merit illegal action, then that's why the district attorney's there for prosecution. It's a criminal act on that. But to raise alarm to the general public that we in fact have a problem, when everything that I've been provided does not tell me that at this point in time, I'm relying on the jurisdiction of the court to do their due diligence and really look at this as objective as possible, to understand how these systems work, which is going to take some time because it took me some time. I think that the elections administrator should be given the opportunity to talk about the safeguards. In 2010, there were safeguard measures developed by the district attorney's office to look at these things. It is managed by Dick Wade, who actually oversees this safeguard measure.
Yes, sir.
So there's all of these processes out there, and I just want to make sure that we are, the objective in what I advocate is to be as thorough as possible. For the county to go on its own to hire a professional, I don't think is the comprehensive approach that, not the court, but those that are charged with the duty to assure what happened.
Yes, sir.
And with every incident, they're charged with the duty to address these issues.
Yes, sir.
Not a commissioner's court. That's how I feel.
Well,
What I have provided
if there
you-
is an inspection, it's not going to be just someone that the county hires out there on their own. It's all, the election code provides that all of these type of inspections have to be done in the presence of a district court judge. In this case, it's Judge Aida Salinas Flores. So it's not going to be a matter of somebody out there walking around on their own. And, you know, I've been, I guess, involved in every 2 years for the last 40 years in election cycles, and every one of them we've had people complaining about different things, irregularities occurring in the respective elections. What makes this one unique is very clearly the fact that we have an individual that's alleged that's involved, a county employee with intimate technical knowledge of how the voting machines work and who may have had access to voting machines, who we also allowed to be out there actively campaigning as a campaign coordinator or campaign consultant in their various individual campaigns.
Judge, I had a conversation with his boss, someone that runs the entire IT operations. And a lot of what I've learned is the IT department has nothing to do with the elections or the voting machines whatsoever. In no way is our IT system integrated with the elections components or books or all the equipment used for voting. I would ask Raynon to come address the court to help us fully understand.
Before you do that, let me finish what I'm saying, and then we can bring Raynon up here. And the fact that there's allegations, again, all these are based on allegations. We're not a court of inquiry, but we have to react or respond in some way because these machines, we have 800 machines approximately. We're going to be needing, I believe, about 150, somewhere between 150 and 200 to conduct the elections for the cities and the school districts. And then we're going to have to get ready for the runoff election that the county has sometime in May. So anything that has to be done in looking at these machines to determine whether or not anybody manipulated anything with the machines has to be done before a certain period of time. And again, the deadline is probably about 30 days. I may be wrong, but I talked to Yvonne and she's nodding her head, so no, you're not, okay. 10 days. 10 days, all right. So we got a short fuse. And if we ever want to know whether or not any manipulation occurred, you know, we've got to be able to get it done within this 10-day period, or we just, you know, the machines will be put back in use and recalibrated, and there goes whatever evidence there may have been of any wrongdoing. And again, we're not denying anyone due process. We're not talking about anyone. Due process applies to an individual. Here we're talking about a process, an election process.
Judge, in the election code, obviously the jurisdiction is a district court. At that point, the district court can order more time. I'm all for giving all the time necessary to have closure with this.
Well, it's not a matter of her ordering more time. It's a matter of having the ability to order more time. We've been told we've got 10 days in order to comply.
Well, she does have the ability to order more time.
Well, sure she can, but what are we going to do about getting more other machines?
For the elections.
For the election, we got to prepare ballots to send out to the military. We got to prepare. Quite a few things have to take place before Election Day.
And what we're doing here, Judge, it's not actually for the elections that happened. It's for the new people that are coming in, maybe new candidates that are going to plan to run. We're trying to give them, like, in other words, a certificate, you know, saying that those machines are good to be used. People can run.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak. We do have time in that the court order, and I do have a copy of the court order here, Judge Aida Salinas Flores Salinas did allow us to remove the Republican machines, and we have a reserve of 97 machines, so we are good to go for the upcoming May 10th elections. That gives us more time. As you were asking, I was trying to listen carefully to what your question was, but certainly I was going to come to court anyway about the reduction of poll locations. So the law says that we should have a poll location at every state representative district. And so we are already looking at the voter turnout, at the runoff elections, and so there is going to be, I think it's called not a consolidation, but a combining of poll locations for the runoff. So we'll certainly look at that and look at the availability of the machines in order to provide the service to our community. So yes. We're good.
Yvonne, if I may ask a question.
Yes, sir.
We spoke yesterday.
Yes, sir.
You had claimed to me, as well as to the district court judge, that if the county hires somebody, they still don't have the authority. First of all, they don't have the authority to touch the machines to begin with. There's no order allowing them to. So what are we doing? Second, that a representative from ES&S has to be present. They have to be the ones opening the machines by order of the judge, overseen by the judge, the district court judge, and they do their due diligence to verify that nothing's been hacked
In other
or...
words, what you're trying to do is put the fox to guard the chicken hen, right?
No?
Yeah,
This-
but
what was the question?
ES&S is the
No.
one that sold those machines, aren't they?
What was the question?
ES&S is not the one that has a contract for those machines?
Yes, sir. But
Exactamente.
they
That's why I'm
have to
asking,
be,
that's why I'm telling you. I mean, it's like putting the fox to guard the chicken hen,
Well-
chicken house, right?
what they would be present. They have to be present or
Oh,
the
no, I'm not
maintenance.
saying they shouldn't be present. They can be present.
Yes, sir. And that's
the
what he's
judge can
saying.
be present.
That's
And
what
that's
I'm
what
But I
he's saying.
still say that somebody, an independent person, needs to go in there and check those machines for future people that want to run.
Yes, sir. I agree.
I'm not talking about the contest election. If nobody files a lawsuit, that means that's gone.
I
You know?
agree. I agree,
mean,
Commissioner.
today's the deadline. That's it. I'm talking about future elections. People that, yesterday I ran into some people saying, what about my election? Am I going to have to be worrying about the machine? I said, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to do what's right. And that's
I
it.
totally agree, Commissioner, and that there should be a person that is an independent, but still a person from ES&S has to be there, because if a seal is broken.
We're not trying to keep him away from
No,
it.
no,
I
they can be
understand.
there.
In fact,
That's what Commissioner was saying.
Palacios yesterday told me that he had visited with Judge Salinas and that she had indicated that she wanted to conduct the inspection
Yes, sir.
and that she wanted to do it in the company of an ES&S representative. And then if they found something improper, then she would go ahead and call in an independent person.
Exactly.
And what I'm saying is that what we need to have is have that ES&S person, have Judge Salinas do what she needs to do to be able to supervise the inspection, but bring in somebody else that's not connected to the company that has made millions of dollars from us and all over the state and country.
I agree,
They're
but-
not ever going to say that their machines
That's what I want.
are not working properly.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree
we're
with
all
you,
in
Judge,
agreement.
wholeheartedly, but we don't have an order from the court just yet that she found irregularities or tampering or
But-
anything at this point in time. So for us, we're
Well, why
setting,
are we going to wait until they find irregularities to bring in a person to look for them?
the reason why, Judge, is because every letter that we receive after every single election will set precedents over.
But this is the
over
only time that
process.
we have had in a situation where one of our county employees that and I think all of us knew that he was involved in coordinating other political campaigns through these several years, and we allowed him to also be involved in working in our information technology department.
Well, Judge, it's simple to ask. Did he have access to
Not
any
at
of your
all.
No,
elections?
he doesn't have access.
Not at all.
What if somebody else has access? I'm
Not-
not accusing him.
The
I'm
only,
saying-
do you all know that we have to run criminal, not just background checks, but criminal background checks on every employee in my department that handles the voting equipment or the media? We must do this yearly. That is part of
Yvonne,
statute.
they can hack into the targets and the Neiman's
happened
and
to
the
Yes, sir,
government.
What happened to
but I
New
have
York?
not been asked.
I mean, who was hacking that stuff in New York? It was a kid from Russia, right?
Yes, sir, on equipment that is internet-based. And so I have never had the opportunity. In fact, I had to ask for a public information request for me to see the allegations that were brought against my department and against the company that
I've got one more question.
Yes, sir.
That's about it. Who recalibrates those machines?
we recalibrate the machines and we make, and I say we as in my IT department, but it's important for you to understand, Commissioner, that in no way does a calibration erase or take anything away from the
Who
machine.
installs the program in those machines when they're ready to go?
I'm sorry?
Who's the one that installs the program in the computer, the machines?
It's coding, and it's my IT supervisor who supervises the coding of the machines. His name is
So what
Joaquin
happens when,
Garcia.
say, an election comes in at 8 o'clock in the afternoon, it shows 25,000 votes for this candidate, and then 2 hours later it drops to 16,000 votes?
Sir,
What's
we
that?
check that daily, and in fact, that's.
No, but if I
That-
have a paper that says that, what does that mean? Typo error?
There is no indication that that happened. I would like to see some proof, because we balance, you have four checks and balances, Commissioner. You check in as a voter, you went and you voted, I know you did, because the system tells me where you voted and what time you voted. So you go and you vote, that's one check-in. Then it produces a label and you sign. That's a second check-in. May I
Another thing that
finish?
concerns me is what happened to that voter in my precinct that went and voted several times, and every time he would vote, he would come back and review it, and it was,
And again, I'm having the judge at that location do an affidavit
and the
because
judge, the judge, he called the judge over, and the judge looked at it, and they did it, and it happened again.
Yes, sir, and that's called calibration, a miscalibration, because these machines have to be loaded into a cage and then lifted up into a huge truck and then transported.
But what a
That can
coincidence.
miscalibrate.
This is what he told me. He said, the reason I voted first day early vote, because 2 years ago I went to vote and I had already voted, and he hadn't voted, but the machine said he voted, so he couldn't vote. So he went this time around and he voted, and then he couldn't vote. He voted about 10, 12 times maybe, and he reviewed it and he would jump.
And
by itself.
Commissioner, that is called a calibration, and we keep logs of all this, and you will see that there are two types
No,
of
no, I
logs on our
understand
equipment.
it's called calibration, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is, what makes you think that it doesn't happen with all the machines?
We keep a log, Commissioner, and we
But
are
that
very, very
machine-
strict.
That machine went back and was being worked on.
And so let me tell you, in the period of this primary, we had an actual removal of machines during early voting in Mission City Hall, San Juan Fire Station, and Las Milpas. Those were actually removed because after the IT person went and assessed, they could no longer be used. 3 during early voting. We replaced 1 during Election Day at Ed Couch Fire Station. But simple calibration, which is a recalibration of the machine, there were only 4 locations, and they were all mainly on the first day because of the loading and the moving of the machines. It was at your County Commissioner Precinct 3, Jose Pepe, Mercedes Civic Center, and UTPA. It happens, Commissioner.
Question. How is coding checked to make sure the ballot is correct?
The coding is checked throughout the logic and accuracy, in which we invite every candidate and every person who is involved to join us. It
Yvonne-
is called logic and accuracy.
Yvonne, you realize that the one incident that's spoken about is the incident they have in this letter stating that,
County
and
Commissioner
it's saying that
Precinct 3.
an elections division IT worker destroyed evidence by recalibrating a malfunctioning machine after being advised. By whom? Did you advise?
No, because that machine was actually able to be recalibrated, not like the other machines that were removed. That is why we have machines in reserve.
Steve, did you read that statute?
Yes, I did.
And does it distinguish between an investigating officer and a district court judge?
Yes. What Chapter 273 of the Election Code is titled Criminal Investigation. That's what the chapter says. And if you go to 273-003A, is where my comments start. 03A is titled Impounding Election Results. And what it states is, in the investigation of an election, a district attorney or the attorney general may have impounded for the investigation the election returns, voted ballots, signature roster, and other election records. So the authority to do the investigation is, in our case, is either the district attorney or the attorney general of the state of Texas. That's who does the investigation.
And we do not have a county attorney, so it would be either one of those two.
It'd be the district attorney or the
And I
attorney
think in
general.
this case, it's clearly, we ought to be talking to the AG and not, but I don't want to speak for anyone here locally, but that would be my position.
Well, that would be my position too.
Yeah, me
I
too,
think that's a
yeah.
fair and impartial
But we need
way.
to do it quickly.
Judge, I'm
or it needs to be
all
done.
for, I think our hearts are in the same place.
Yeah.
Our due process.
Why don't we take a break and somebody call the AG's office?
Well, it's not quite that easy.
Well,
The reason being is, if you go back to 273-001A, it states if 2 or more registered voters of the territory covered by an election present affidavits alleging criminal conduct in connection with the election to the county, important next word, or the district attorney having jurisdiction in that territory, the county or district attorney shall investigate the allegations. If the election covers territory in more than one county, the voters may present the affidavits to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General shall investigate the allegations. Here we have affidavits only in this county. So it's our district attorney who has the
Do you have
authority.
anybody from the district attorney in the office?
And I know Yvonne, oh, I'm sorry.
audience.
May I
Just
finish?
a minute, Yvonne.
May I finish my explanation, please, on the audit reports for Commissioner Flores so that you may understand respectfully? I request that.
Yvonne, can I stop you 1 second? Just add one more thing. 273-001B says a district or county attorney having jurisdiction or the Attorney General may conduct an investigation on the officer's own initiative to determine if criminal conduct occurred in connection with an election. So the question is, it's a may. So it's not like you call the Attorney General up and they have to do the investigation. It is solely within their discretion.
Commissioner Flores, there are audit reports internally. There are safeguards in the machine itself so that there are no ways to erase that. Those stay in the machines, and they also get up security measures to a media card that is in the machine. So any calibration of the machine does not in any way mess with the votes on the machine, change anything, manipulate any voting at all. And those are verifiable.
Yvonne, are these safeguard measures?
I'm sorry?
These are called the safeguard measures that are in place?
They're safeguard measures, yes.
Who put them together?
The ES&S. These are from the actual ES&S system that this court purchased.
I was going to ask you, is every machine checked or just a few?
Every machine is checked, sir. Every machine is checked, and we take weeks to check every machine, and that is where the community is invited to come and view how the checks and balances are done. Every single machine is checked. We do not have, you know, the knowledge that when a machine is being transferred, that it may miscalibrate. But that is why we're all over the county. That is our job, to assess the needs of each machine, and we take care of them. This is not new to this election.
When was the last time the machines were certified?
We have a maintenance gold agreement, and they come in the summer, and they came when? In August.
Right.
They were certified.
And I know that you believe that it's impossible to hack them.
No, sir, it's not that I
statement.
think it's impossible. No,
Well, you've made that statement several times, but.
Not like that,
Well,
Judge.
clarify your statement.
My statement.
Let me kind of make my point, and then I'll pass it on. But in reading some of these articles from the Department of Computer and Information Science and University of Pennsylvania, they did a security evaluation of our voting system, the same machines, and they found them to be vulnerable in nearly every component of the ES&S system. These vulnerabilities enable attacks that could alter or forge precinct results, install corrupt firmware, and erase audit records. And then you go into, there's actually 3 of them, and they talk about the flipping, which is what happened here.
Which is the calibration.
Ma'am?
Which is the calibration where it's
Right,
not.
but they called it flipping in Tennessee, and they went ahead and discussed those lack of security issues in those same machines.
Yes, sir, but what you also have to acknowledge
Hold on,
is the
Yawakawa.
security issues that I have.
Hold on, please. And this other report that talks about the ES&S voting machines can be maliciously calibrated to favor specific candidates. And it talks about these touchscreen voting machines at the center of these vote flipping reports can be easily and maliciously recalibrated in the field to favor one candidate in a race. I mean, these are articles that were written after people looked at these issues very closely.
Judge,
sir,
if I may comment to those articles?
Yes, sir,
Because
I
I read
do.
them myself as well.
Yes, sir, I
Again, the articles are in 2008.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second, after the study of the Pennsylvania case, the state of Ohio issued 2 additional forensic tests, and it's on the conclusion of page 12. In fact, that they used the traditional certification measure procedures and found not equal arguments that this one independent firm had conducted. One used the certification measures, the other used another measure that I don't even know how to pronounce how they termed it, but different methods of inspecting. So again, it wasn't conclusive. The state of Ohio went through the process of hiring more additional testing by the certification. At the end of the day, I think I'm all for getting down to the bottom of it. I think the Attorney General, Secretary of State, they're involved in certifying these machines. They know better than anybody else. I think it's hard to just get an independent forensic firm who may have the expertise But I think they need to work through the Attorney General's office.
And I think another important point to make is that not in all those states, but in the state of Texas, it's not just the state that certifies, but the federal government. Not all states have the same certification requirements. And the state of Texas is not just certified by the state, but it also goes beyond that. And these machines are certified by the government. Does Cameron County
use the same machines we do?
I'm sorry?
Does Cameron County use the same machines we do?
I believe Cameron County may be using an ADA. I haven't talked to Chris. I know he was wanting to purchase the DREs.
I think they're on paper ballots still, aren't they?
Again, he is in the process of trying to change to the electronic voting. And again, knowing that the state allows two companies, it's HART and ES&S, we cannot just go to Ohio and see what kind of system they're using, or to Rhode Island. We have to go according to the certification requirements based by the state and the federal government on Texas. So I have to believe that they would not allow 148 counties throughout the state of Texas that use the ES&S iVotronic machine to not be at the level that we require. But along those lines, Judge, I think it's important that you allow me at one point to show you. Remember, I called you in and I said, Judge, please come during early voting. And I said, I want you to see the measures that we have for security. I wanted you to see it firsthand so that you can see that every day, our judges have to call in the counts.
In other words, what you're trying to say, they can't be hacked. That's what you're saying.
I'm sorry?
What you're trying to say, they cannot be messed with?
What I am saying, Commissioner, is that these machines are
I know
not...
you're doing your job. I mean, you all are doing your job and everything.
Yes, sir.
But what if somebody from the outside is doing it?
What I am trying to say is that a machine that is not connected to the internet, it's a machine that is standalone. Our coding machine is standalone. Our iVotronics are standalone. There is no way possible. We're not Target or those others that are on a Wi-Fi internet. We are a standalone machine.
Oh, and I'm all for it. And I hope if they ever test them, I hope they come back clean, for our sake. I mean, because it'll be our mind, at least, you know, people out there would say at least the machines have never been tampered with. But what if they don't?
Then you go with what our checks and balances are. We have them every step of the way.
Well, I'd like to answer the question, because in the abstracts it does show that there are points of vulnerability.
Yes, there are.
And the points of vulnerability are within the system and within the users. You're talking about poll watchers, you're talking about judges that are there.
Conspiracy.
Okay, and the only thing that they can do is add or delete. They can't change anything, is what I read in the abstract.
No.
Along with that, then that would make the numbers to be wrong. So you got your signatures, you got your safeguards. You're talking about your safeguard measures. That's how you're validating the number of votes that come in. So to answer the question, there are points of vulnerability, but it would have to be a coup with every one of your employees, or maybe a couple of employees.
Yes, sir, it would. The poll workers themselves, all the way, it would have to be an incredible conspiracy, because the source codes and the passwords are not even given to us. These come from the company, and that's why we had 2 machines black out. It happens, and we ourselves could not go into the machine. They had to send a representative from ES&S that is certified, and we had to wait for them to open up the machine, to clear up the issues on it, and then move on. So the safeguards are there.
What about where are these machines stored at all the time?
We store them in our warehouse. We have security measures with padlocks. We have gates.
No, but where's the warehouse at? They're never been stored somewhere else besides that?
No, sir. No, sir.
Never at all?
Overnight, at a poll location, we assess every single location.
But other than that, they've never been stored nowhere else?
Not since I've been here, since September of '08, no, sir.
Ms. Ramon, let me ask you a question, and it's just for the sake of the general public, because they're watching the news, they're reading the newspaper articles about these questions and these allegations. You're saying that the company came in and serviced them in August?
Yes, sir. They come every year in the summer.
Okay. What, at that point, once they're serviced, they're secured, they're in a secured location, and they're brought out to conduct elections. In this case, they were brought out in March for the
constitutional in November, and the city.
So after every election, everything's cleared out again.
Yes, sir.
And you reset the machines all over again.
Yes, sir.
But in other words, do they check them to see?
Yes, sir. Every single machine.
Huh?
Every single machine.
Okay, say this election goes by, and they go back to them. Do they check them if they've been any fraud, or they just zero them back to zero again?
We have incredible checks and balances. When I came on board, they weren't there, Commissioner, but they are now. And we make sure we have reports. Look, I can tell you how many machines were calibrated.
I'm
So
just here-
yes, we do have very, very strict checks and balances on everything we do. And like I told my staff, this is happening and it's a good thing because we have such transparency. Even the numbers that people are claiming that there are more voters than should be, we're on the internet. You can yourself go and see the voters who voted, balance to the check-in, balance our combination forms.
So explain this letter there. They're saying that there's total votes reported by the machine exceeded the total number of voters that actually voted. That's
Sir,
one of the claims of the letter.
This is on the internet. This is our report on percentage of voters registered in each precinct and percentage of voters who voted.
You know, we're talking about the machines. I mean, that's really the big issue, not any other type of irregularity. There could be 100 of them. But, I mean, we've got another article that says that voting machines in election 12, the e-voting machines, could also be hacked, and were hacked in that particular election. I frankly don't see anything wrong with no longer having to suspect our guests after every election whether or not any tampering occurred. If we could go and maybe work out an understanding with the Attorney General that E&S people can come, private security people can come, and anyone else who he wants to invite, and they start looking.
Yes,
and then give us a clean bill of health, hopefully.
I agree.
I agree too.
I agree.
The only thing, Judge, is that this letter that you referred to has many more allegations than just the
But
machines.
we're talking about machines.
Yes, but we still have to address these because this is where the integrity of the election
Well, we
and
don't
the
have
integrity
to
of my...
address them here because that'll be up to a district judge. We're looking only at the machines because that's what we're responsible for.
Steve, legal counsel, is it appropriate at all to take action on any of these items?
Commissioner, the way the order reads, these machines are impounded pursuant to the judge's order. If we hired somebody to come down here and look at the machines, they cannot look at the machines because they're impounded. The appropriate action, I think, at this point in time, as long as the machines remain impounded, is for the judge who impounded the machines to be taking whatever action she feels is just in order to do this investigation and look at these machines.
In the meantime, we can notify the Attorney General's office, Secretary of State, and start this, I guess, inspection of the machines and all.
When the machines are no longer impounded.
Right.
Cameron County is here, so maybe we can ask Chris. Where are you, Chris? What is it that you use?
I'm sorry, who is this?
This is...
The Cameron County Elections Administrator.
This is Mr. Davis
Oh.
from Cameron County?
Mrs. Ramon,
Yes.
I was wondering, when they checked those machines, was it done on location? Or were they in place, or were they at ES&S or somewhere else? Or was it done with your mind, or, I mean, did they do in there?
When ES&S comes and checks them, it is done at our warehouse, and that's where all the machines are checked, in our warehouse, every single machine. Then when they are coded, then by law, we have to do what is called a logic and accuracy. We post it, we ask every single candidate, we invite them to come. Then after they test the machines, they look at the ballot, they certify that everything is voting, because you can vote on them. You can see about the calibration mistakes, you can put your palm on it, you can do anything you want, and then we print results for you, so that you yourself can see how the vote is being placed correctly. Then after that, the machines are cleared, everyone there has to sign the tape, and then these machines are loaded into the poll location cages, they are locked, and then the judges take that key. So we don't even have that access to the cage anymore. They are delivered to the poll location, and the judge then removes the machines. This is all by statute.
Ms. Ramon, have you been served by any agency of any illegal tampering of any sort by any, whether it's Texas Rangers, FBI?
No, sir.
Have you been advised of any wrongdoing in
No,
this
sir.
2014 election?
No, sir, I have not. Chris? Mr. Davis from Cameron County. What system do you use?
And what are you going to be adding, sir?
May I approach the witness
Sure,
stand, Judge?
yes.
Commissioners, Judge, Mr. Rowan asked me to come up here. I believe there was a question Commissioner Flores, did you ask the kind of
Which
voting
machines are
system or
y'all are
election
using
system?
the paper ballot machines,
We
right?
use a paper ballot optical scan system.
But they're more expensive.
They're more
It's
expensive
more
than,
expensive to have an election, or they're not?
well, not necessarily, sir. I mean, we'd save costs if we were to switch to a system like Hidalgo County has over
Because I remember
a
we got
period
a
of time.
$3.5 million grant from the state when we got ours,
Right,
right?
sir.
We had a 3 million and fraction grant, which
Yeah,
they
it was
no
a grant.
longer will have.
We have thousands of dollars of paper ballot waste every election, whether it's a city, primary, runoff, or general. We could save those kind of costs if we were to go to a paperless system. And we're looking forward to a paperless system.
I know you're looking into that, right?
That's correct.
He's been researching that because the Ivotronic is the most secure machine that is out there today. And again, I've asked you all, I've given you the numbers to ES&S, to the contact people at the state, and these are the persons that are certified to answer the questions because they are the ones who, after all, allow us to use these machines. Any other questions?
Ivan,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned there were 3 locations.
The 3 locations, oh, that they were removed? Yes, sir. I have that right here.
Were all the machines experiencing the same problem?
The three that were removed, I'm not sure. Joaquin has that log. Do you remember what the problems they were experiencing as to why they were removed? They weren't functioning.
Well, obviously they didn't work or something.
Yes, sir. That's why we removed them.
No. Were
But they weren't flipping or anything, that's, I guess that's,
I'm sorry?
they weren't flipping, they just weren't working?
Those were not the calibration. Those were, they stopped working. And so those were 3. Then the calibration were let me see, simple calibration were 4 locations. And that was, Commissioner Precinct 3, and they all occurred on the first day, more or less.
I didn't see it. I just know that it happened there, and they told me.
No,
and-
it did. It
But I
did.
didn't see it. And
mentioned-
one of your judges, the judge was there, and
Yes,
I
she
mean, I think
handled it.
Joaquin who showed up, and y'all apparently was supposed to fix it.
Ivan,
Yes,
you
he
mentioned
handled it.
4 machines?
Are you asking if 4 machines were
I'm
removed?
asking, were they experiencing the same kind of problem?
The ones that were removed or the ones that were calibrated?
Why were they? Why was
Removed?
there? Yeah.
They were removed because they stopped working. The screen went black. In fact, Mr. Guajardo himself experienced where it wouldn't take his vote. So see, each one of them, we have it logged in. I didn't write that down. I just knew the number, but he was one of them. He was trying to vote and it wouldn't take the vote. So he told the judge, they canceled that vote. He went to another machine. They called us, we brought it home. I'm sorry, not home. I better make that correct. We brought it back to our warehouse.
So you're saying the machines that you had issues with during the early voting, and they've been set aside?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. We removed them, and that is why it's very important that we have machines in reserve.
So when you calibrate, there's no taking away of information. There's
No,
no
sir.
manipulation of information.
All
No,
the
sir.
information says they're
Nothing
right.
erases. No, no. The machines have those safeguards that they have that permanent inside the machine on the actual memory card, the compact flash card, and in fact, on the last day when that master PEB takes up all the votes, it's in there as well. It's auditable, it's tangible.
So let me ask you just a question. So obviously, the district court judge has confiscated impounded, excuse me, the machines. Obviously, she's going to go through the process. As she told me, they were going to inspect these. Obviously, we're encouraging proper agencies to be here for it, and everybody's wanting this.
That's correct.
Based on all your safeguard measures, policies, procedures, protocol, you believe that there's probably will be conclusion to this issue relatively pretty soon, depending on a couple variables there. But we should have closure at the end of the day to know whether or not.
We should have closure, especially because we have the cities and schools elections that are upon us, and we also have the runoff that we are
Now,
responsible.
you said, and I know the judge was, or someone was advocating, these machines have the capability of adding paper to it, right?
Some kind of
a receipt.
Yes, sir, in other states.
In other
In other
yes, we don't
states.
have that machine.
Oh, okay.
It is the machine, but when the state certified this iVotronic for the state of Texas, the receipt was not included. It was not certified. Therefore, it cannot be used. Plus, it requires additional equipment for it. And it's not a receipt that a person could actually take home. It's a receipt that they view. Now, I will tell this court that as I look at the new machines, the new styles that are coming out, I am looking for that. I would like to present to the court a machine that has a paper ballot and has the electronic concept to it, so that there are no issues here. I was not here when these machines were introduced to the state and introduced to this county. This is what I was entrusted with, and I have to believe, in order to be your elections administrator, that the federal government and that the state of Texas would do their due diligence in certifying machines that they know are functioning. And I'm doing mine by making sure that there are checks and balances every step of the way.
And I support the judges and all the commissioners. I mean, we all want a clean bill of health.
Yes, sir.
We all want to give assurances. I was once a candidate as well, and I know it's a sacrifice on families. It's a burden, a financial burden. Every candidate wants to make sure that the system works.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm all for assuring that we do our due diligence and assure that these things are looked at with proper agencies and we have closure to this issue.
Yes, sir, I agree.
I think everybody wants the same thing.
I agree. I am all for it, definitely.
So does that mean you're in agreement that we proceed to hire this independent guy to work with the SNS and the AG and let them come in and walk in and tell us?
Judge,
Work
I
together?
am when the judge gives us the order.
Steve, how can we do this, Steve?
First of all, the judge would have to, by order, permit anybody we hire to be in there inspecting the machines, and also.
But if the AG's office requested it, it's going to happen.
Well, if the AG offices requested it, yes, that would happen. But first, we'd have to have the AG on board, and the judge would have to permit the AG to be before her court, subject to her order.
Yeah, and in those circumstances, of course. I mean, by what jurisdiction do we have to stop them? They
We
pretty
don't.
much have the jurisdiction to do all this stuff, not a commissioner's court.
That's right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Any comments from any other member of the court?
What's the bottom line, Judge?
Well, we can't, we let it out for bids, and the bids came in higher than the $50,000 level that we were hoping it would be under. That would have allowed us to hire them without having to spend about a month and a half trying to comply with the Texas procurement statutes. So that's out. So the only thing left, it appears, is that we authorize Atlas and Hall, if that's the wishes of the court, to go ahead and proceed to do whatever.
Can we take action subject to?
Judge, may I comment on that?
Yes.
As far as any law firm, the law firm could not do anything, any law firm could not do anything as long as those machines are impounded by court order.
So whenever the judge modifies her order.
Oh, no,
then
I
we
mean,
can take
everything it
action.
should do would be subject to
Yeah.
just
Right,
the judge's.
well, what I'm saying is this, is assuming, and I hate to assume, but assuming the machines stay impounded for 30 to 45 days, if that's how long it takes the judge to be comfortable with releasing the
But
machines.
we have enough machines that run a Republican race to be able to
Right.
run those other races, right?
Yes, sir. We are good to go for the May election.
We have time.
Yes, sir.
So I guess what I'm saying is, you could
no
go
problem.
ahead, you could go ahead and issue RFPs,
Or can we approve it
because that would
subject to
take
the
30,
district
45
judge's
days.
Yeah,
decision?
we can, to avoid having to come back every so often and to discuss this issue, we authorize you to represent us.
Subject to
and-
district judge.
Yeah, of course, you're going to comply with any order from a district court judge or from any directive from the AG's office.
And I guess what I was saying is, I think you have one other alternative. You could issue RFPs to hire your own expert to come in and look at these machines and have that RFP, probably, Marty, how long would it take, 30 to 45 days for an
Yeah, but
RFP?
That's the problem with that, is because of that 45-day period.
The only thing I'm,
It would be at least 6 weeks.
the only thing I'm saying is, we don't know how long the judge is going to keep these machines impounded.
What if it's 2 days or a week or so?
Marty,
then I don't
can you
have
hire
the
legal
time.
counsel to do an investigation?
Pardon me?
Can you procure services of a legal counsel to conduct an investigation?
There's no
You want me to
authority for
procure
it.
legal counsel? I thought we were procuring
Well,
a-
I think that the judge suggested to hire Atlas and Hall to conduct the investigation.
To
I hire
represent
Atlas and
us,
Hall. I
to
can't hire
represent the
Atlas and Hall.
county in
They
the
can
event.
exempt Atlas and Hall or any
Yep,
law firm.
But it's a law firm. But that's my issue, is that you hire an attorney to conduct an investigation. They
not
can
an
provide legal
investigation.
services.
The investigation will be conducted, if at all, by the AG's office,
Okay, all right.
and under the supervision of a district court judge, and we need someone there representing the county, and that's where I was proposing that we authorize Steve Crane, Atlas and Hall to fill that role.
Assuming the judge would permit that. Now, what, I'm taking it one step further. And this is what I'd like the court to consider, to at least contemplate. The statute under which the machines were impounded is for criminal investigations, wrongdoing. I think there's also another issue here. The other issue is if there wasn't a criminal matter potentially involved, would the court also be wanting an independent party to test the machines to see that they're operating in accordance with the state standards for electronic voting machines?
Well, that's going to be up to you and the court to argue that. I mean, we can't answer that. But I do think that, you know what our consensus, our directive would be, and you try to achieve it as best as you can in making your arguments. We all understand that district court judges may not always agree with you, but then you report back to us and tell us that, or tell us that you were able to accomplish what we were needing or wanting.
So you're asking us to attempt to intervene into a criminal investigation?
No. We're asking you to intervene in making contact with the AG's office, advising the court of what you're intending to do, and make sure that she's in agreement. Under the statute, it could be either the county attorney, which we don't have, a district attorney, or the AG's office, and we're suggesting that the AG would be the proper investigating officer under the code. And everything that is being done should be done under her supervision, Judge Aida Salinas Flores. You know, all three heads have to come together to try to accomplish what we think is maybe needed here, which is conduct an investigation and determine and come back and report back, and hopefully, as has been stated by everybody here concerned, that we'll be getting a clean bill of health, and our voters, our residents here in Hidalgo County will feel more secure and about their voting, about the voting process, that their vote actually does count, and that their vote is secure and is going to be applied to whomever they voted for.
To summarize, and what you're asking is that with the court's permission, and I'm assuming also after discussing it with the district attorney's office, that we attempt to have the attorney general come in for this case, and also to ask the court that outside parties, such as our law firm, also be present when these machines are examined.
Why wouldn't you do that without? I mean, you're our county attorney.
Well, no, we're not.
You're-
There is no
Excuse-
county.
I'm sorry,
there's
excuse
no
me, your
county-
legal counsel, excuse
Well,
me.
there is no county attorney in this county
No.
by
well,
statute.
You represent Commissioner's Court.
But I'm also, I guess what I'm asking is that I'm hearing you want the Attorney General's office involved.
Yes.
Okay, and that would be the first part of trying to go through with the judge's permission and with the district attorney's permission to attempt to have the Attorney General become involved in this matter.
If I may just
Is it the
ask,
scope of the services? I'm curious about the scope of the services of the legal counsel, Judge.
I think the reason I'm asking these questions, Mr. Frascio, is I want to be clear as to what Atlas and Hall is being employed to
Yeah,
do.
and that's my question. I'm not sure at this point what is what Atlas and Hall is going to do. I guess you're going to petition the Attorney General to come in and take over the
Mr.
investigation?
Frascio, you cannot petition the Attorney General to come in. It's going to be discussions with the judge for permission to contact the Attorney General, discussions with the District Attorney's Office to obtain their consent to try to bring in the Attorney General, and then hopefully if everybody's in agreement, it will be the judge and the District Attorney and the Commissioner's Court asking the Attorney General to come in to this case.
That's why I'm confused, because when I receive an allegation of criminal activity, I refer to law enforcement and let them conduct an investigation and take it over, because I don't have authority to investigate.
Mr. Ofracio, hold on. Why not go out for bids and just wait?
That was my other suggestion.
She's got enough machines to take care of the primary, I mean, the other elections coming up for the
Right.
school. I mean, let's go out for bids and wait, what, 45, 60 days? And just impound those machines till then, or whatever.
So I need to get on the agenda for Tuesday to seek authority to publish an ad for an RFP on the analyst, the forensic analyst, correct? That's what you all are hoping to.
Can you do it on
Now-
today's agenda?
Pardon me?
Can you do it on the agenda that is posted, agenda item that is posted right now?
What's today, Friday? Yeah,
No.
you had enough time.
No, I can still get it on Tuesday, but I would just want to know exactly what am I supposed to be
You know,
requesting?
maybe by Tuesday, and I understand.
You'll have more information, but we can have an item.
Beyond more information, and I sincerely appreciate having been a candidate many times, not always on the winning side. The concern that the candidates themselves may have that have been, according to the canvass, declared the winners, that this may be some attempt to undo that situation, but that'll be over with by Tuesday when we vote on it. The 10 days will be gone.
The 10 days will come up
Legally,
on
there's no
Sunday.
way that they could, that any of the results could change. And I feel like at that point, I think there will be, everybody will join in and join hands, and let's all go together and let's clean up. Let's get a clean bill of health from somebody. Hopefully that will occur, because at that point, all that type of pressure will be removed from the individual candidate. I think all of us here that live in this county are looking, do not want to have this cloud hanging over us.
Okay, but I just, from what has been discussed, and as a layperson sitting here listening, Commissioner's Court then does have the authority to seek an RFP to hire a forensic analyst
They do, Steve?
for
Well,
the machines.
I think the question is. the word
If none of
forensic.
this had been brought up, if the question was just that we want to know, as a county, are our voting machines,
What's
secure?
it's not gonna cost us that much money to go out for bids, and then the judge says you can't do it.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, I just wanted to know if that's exactly what you all want. You all want to go out on an RFP to seek the services of a forensic analyst to at least do 500 machines? Or all
825.
No, we don't need all
825?
800, we just, because.
But by that
We're
time,
looking
as you
at the
say,
Democratic primary, and there we use 500 and what?
500, we use
563, I think. was
Okay,
the-
that's what we're talking about.
no more than 563
And I'll give you
machines.
that
Right.
exact number.
Okay, well, whatever it was. Okay, so I'll get on the agenda for Tuesday to get authority to do that.
But we don't need no action for today.
I can't do it with the
No, we
action that's
can't.
done.
Marty, I'm gonna suggest to the court, you use the word forensic. I think by that time, by Tuesday, what you may want to be stating is that you want an expert to come in on voting machines to determine if the voting machines are reliable and safe when operated in accordance with the procedures of the election administrator.
And we all have to be on the same page, all Commissioners Court, like he says. I mean, have everybody present, let somebody test them, let it be an independent auditor, not the same guys, somebody else. And then, we can all be on the same page here.
I agree, Commissioner. If I may ask a question for clarification.
Well, I don't know if I agree with not using forensic. I mean, we want somebody to tell us whether there was any manipulation that took place. You're saying that it may have been susceptible.
Part of the qualifications would be that they have forensic experience.
Are the qualifications correct?
I mean,
I understand.
the ultimate question is, did somebody tamper with these machines or the March,
Yeah, that's
2014
Did
election?
they, or do they have,
Or the ability to tamper with them?
or they're,
And we need
Because
to
the
make people
studies-
understand that the deadline for the contest in election is when, Judge?
It's,
Today?
it's either today or, it's actually on a Sunday,
I mean,
And
so it
that's
may
it.
be
For what, for a
extended to
contest?
Monday.
for the contest?
Yes.
It's
By,
Monday.
Just
by
Monday.
Tuesday, we'll be,
So
by Tuesday,
nobody has-
everybody will be safe. and
Nobody has
hopefully
filed,
nobody
no
will
one
go
has
back.
told me. But I do have a question for clarification,
I'm
and
not
I
sure
would like to
fully
make a
understand. He keeps
statement.
asking questions.
The allegations that I read finally yesterday say more than just the machines. So that's my question to this court.
We're
I
talking about
invite-
machines.
Yes,
If
sir,
anybody
but we're
has any
talking
other
about-
complaint, they need to file with a district judge. We have absolutely no authority to listen to that.
So the statement that I am making to the community and to those candidates that may be present is that I am willing to meet, to show everything that we do, to address this issue so that if they are not convinced, then we can, I've got two things we're doing here. The validity of the functionality of the machines and the validity of the process that my department and I take in order to secure the voting process. So those are two separate things. A criminal investigation on the allegations in those letters are more than just the functionality of the machines. So I welcome anybody and everybody, including this court, to talk to me. This is the first opportunity I get to attempt to answer
Well,
questions.
For the sake of the perception out there, I would ask that you remain available to media.
We
and
are.
Candidates.
I am.
And everybody, to assure they understand.
You know, before this came up, about a week and a half ago, I congratulated you for running the election the way you did.
I know, sir, nobody ever does, but you know
Nobody
what?
envisioned this would be coming up.
We do a great job.
Okay, anything else?
Es todo.
Need a mo- Yes, sir.
I think it would be appropriate if you and Steve can talk to the media. Since you're attorneys, you can talk the language.
I don't want to be playing lawyer.
Well, the fact is, we need to have the same information go out across the board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Commissioner.
So I would encourage you to do that.
All right.
Steve, join the judge for the news media.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.